Cross-legged, sit up straight, shoulders back. Release these limbs, which means legs and arms, away from the spine. That's kind of a lateral release till you get to the hip joints and shoulders, at which point it extends toward the extremity. So laterally, and then away from the skull. Toward the extremity. Sit the trunk straight, level pelvis, level middle. Don't dump the middle forward, keep it level, keep the ribs level. Don't dump the shoulders forward, keep also these collarbones lifted, level with the shoulder blades, level left to right, level front to back. This is more subtle, but level diagonals. Groin to opposite armpit. Both sides. Be balanced. Be soft, quiet in the brain cells. Soft and even in the breath. So observe the relationship between level or not level parts of your trunk, pelvis, ribs, shoulders, and your breath. Make the breath also even. This evenness of action is yoga. Bow to this practice. Release your hands. Slowly raise your head and open your eyes. Now, take support with your hands and stretch your legs. Tanasana. Karen, feet parallel, legs parallel. Anybody else with hip problems? Both Karens. Anybody else with bursitis, sometimes knee issues? It's a very helpful thing to put a brick between your feet. So don't squeeze the brick, but make contact with the brick with the inner foot and spread away from it with the outer foot. So use the brick as a reference point for spreading. Keep support with the hands as needed. Stretch the leg long. Press the thigh down. Pick up the pelvis level. Now, if you don't have pains here, take your arms up. Lift up Take that level trunk up. Don't force your spine forward or backward. Interlock your fingers, turn your palms up, push up, Urdhva Baddha. Spread your feet, ground the hips, connect your breath. Every exhalation makes you longer back, front, and sides. Bend your elbows, change the interlock. Push up, push up. Anywhere you feel compression, push up straighter. Stretch those elbows. Stretch the elbows, push the heel of the hand up to the ceiling. And release, come out. Okay. Bend the knees. Bend the knees wide. Just take an open angle. Still have this brick. Put this brick on its short, narrow side. And do Konasana with your feet spaced with this narrow brick. Okay, an open ankle at first. There is space between the pubis and the heels, enough to keep both Karen, I'll just say Karen, the hip sockets happy-ish. Yes? Give me a sign. Okay, so supporting, look at first the inner foot touches, turn so that outer foot comes to the brick. The pinky toe side of the foot, bring it to the brick. Now it's not an attempt to break the brick, it's make contact. And lift your trunk. Keep the outer foot, floor part of the foot, tucking in. Get that skin to tuck. And lift your trunk and see if you can come toward vertical trunk, vertical pelvis, sacrum, not just sternum, but all up and down. Outer feet on the brick. Are you okay, Karen? Good. Come out carefully. Lift the outer knee, and I mean the shin part as well as the thigh part. So the hand takes both and lifts. Turn your feet, stretch your legs. Good. Now, stand up, but wait. Now, the Karen, don't do this. Everybody get a chair. Everybody. Any kind of chair, except when you sit in it, the thighs have to be horizontal. So don't get a stool. Chair. Okay, sit in that chair and bring your heels as far back as you can and still keep them on the floor. So don't come up. Keep those heels down, just as far back as you can. Now, create, and Karen, feet, brick width. And if you had a foam brick, you might put one between your knees and shins. So don't make too much weight, but you need a spacer. Okay. Yeah. And the way you keep contact with that is make sure that outer thigh comes forward toward the knee. The knees hold that brick from the outer leg. And this is true for everybody. Okay. That means the way these legs come together is there is this forward extension, and it goes down to those feet. Okay. Hips down, take your arms up, push the heel, keep the knees going close to each other from the outer hip. Do you feel, if you do it right, your sacrum is quiet and spreading and descending, and you can ascend the pubis, come out. Now, stand up and watch first. Stand up. What you're going to do is keep your arms free for balance. They'll go sideways and they'll go forward to assist you. But what you need, your heels are where you haven't moved your heels from that tucked place, right? Then you stand up and you're going to sit back down, keeping your shins going back and down, the thighs helping that, the tailbone sits, pelvis broadens, and you sit on that chair, knee quiet as can be, tailbone down, pubis up. Now, quiet as can be, stand back up, but wait, your arms are going to go up this time. Up, pull up, pull up, up, up. Both feet, you notice sometimes one foot pushes and the other does not. Sit back down, arms up, heels down, arms up, tailbone down, pubis up. Go back up, pull up, stand on the heels. Okay, rest for a second. Now, you're going to do the miserably difficult, challenging, annoying thing of hovering. So the hover is as low as you can get and stay. Sit when you must, but keep control. Don't fall. Don't plummet. Control. The whole time. Heels down, shins back to the heel, thighs forward, keep the sacrum broad, take the tailbone down, pubis up. Good, sit. Okay, then stand up sort of similarly, just act like, see, it's not so bad. Okay. Now, arm action, a little bit of arm action. Gomukasana, or the amount of Gomukasana you can take with props. So Gomukasana arms are, let's see, move my camera. You're going to do this standing, but I'm getting up close so you see. Is my camera crooked? Yes. So there. Anyway, Gomukasana is a thoracic spine opener. So these ribs have to lift. One arm goes up, and the up arm has to keep lifting this rib cage. So the hand comes down. If you see it, it's behind my ear without me dropping my head forward. That's the hopeful place. Look also, the arm is rotated. So in theory, that hand comes down in the center. When the arm is improperly rotated, the hand crosses over. You also see it comes away from my head. It's got to come in and rotate. And that spreads this back rib. Okay, so you catch your strap and you put it on the opposite shoulder in case that's the place you can catch it. Okay, and the other hand, this is the difficult one for me and for many. You have to keep that lift of the chest. You have to keep that open space, that level collarbone, and take this hand behind you, softening that shoulder, away from the spine, away from the skull. Find the path that lets you move. Now you'll see my shoulder sockets forward, and that's where I am. Okay, this is Gomukasana. You have to get into a workable version of that pose for you, with the hands clasped on the strap, without pain, without injury. And if those fingers clasp, make sure it's a complete one. Please come out. And if you have not changed socks, do so. So do that top arm carefully first. It stretches up. It technically externally rotates, even though your triceps is coming in. Move it back behind the ear and then take it down. Catch your strap wherever it's catchable. Your effort is interestingly, the more you can lift this rib cage arm all the way up to the elbow, the lower this hand can go down. So up elbow, down hand. Then the other arm, lift that chest. Catch where you can. Personally. Okay, good. Come out. Now, let's have one break from that and do a quick Trikonasana. Feet apart. Stretch your arms. Turn to the right. Now, you've just done one Gomukasana, hopefully carefully. So this may have an effect on your arm action, I hope. The Utkatasana woke those legs up, bend from the hips. Come on down to a shin or an ankle. Widen your stance if you need to increase the length in the trunk. Keep that outer thigh tucking into its hip socket. Okay. This is different from Utkatasana. Press the foot in the floor. That's the same. Tuck the thigh. into the hip socket. Inhale, come up. Some of you need to take a bit longer stance, change sides. Okay. Keep the right foot parallel or turned in slightly. I think Suzette and Marcia could take a slightly longer stance. Exhale, down you go. Turn that left leg gay. If when you come down, you feel like you're still really stuck in that left hip, left waist, lengthen your stance and see if that frees up some rotation and lets you follow that spine, extend that spine. Good, come up. Inhale, turn the feet, come out. Now, again, sort of briefly, we're gonna take the feet apart, stretch the arms down. The arms will stretch down and back like Shavasana, and leaving the upper arm back. You'll put your hand on the back pelvis. So there's this muscularity that I'm creating here without support. Once you get it, keep reaching those arms back, shoulders back. It'll feel better. Now you turn to your right side and keep those shoulders drawn back. Anytime you lose some of that tuck, take it, reset. Okay, bend your front knee. Keep the heel pressing. Make your front shin arrive at vertical. If your front thigh has not come to horizontal, you might care to move your back heel back. Marissa, that looks good. Inhale, come up. Turn the feet, change sides. Now, if you need to, in the center, restretch so you get comfy again. When you extend your forearms towards your hands, it helps you lose some of the grip in the shoulders. It helps you open the shoulders. Now stretch your back leg. Push that back heel. Absolutely stretch your back leg. And bend the front knee. Keep your heels down. Buttock bones bending. Don't let the left shin pass the vertical. Chest open. Back leg stretching. Outer hips even with each other. There's that levelness idea of the trunk, pelvis, abdomen, chest, throat, head. Watch the forward dumping or backward pressure. Inhale, come up. Now, that was legs now, and the arms a certain way. Now, take your arms up, well, feet apart symmetrically. Take the arms up. Keep those elbows straight. If this is difficult for you, then you take a belt around your forearms and just keep the buckle off center so it doesn't get in your face, and use it to keep your arms straight. Then we will take Virabhadrasana 1 with the arms up. Back thigh straight. The length and open space, back, front, and sides in each of the breathing zones. And you come into Virabhadrasana 1 as best you can. I recognize that the back body, especially on the back leg side, does shorten. But with practice, that compression leaves. So that obvious feeling you have, you can change, lengthen, ground into those feet. Keep the outer thighs firm. Inhale, come up, turn, release the arms in the middle if you need the rest, and go back up again and change sides. Now keep that back leg straight. The toes may turn in quite a bit, but that back thigh has to be connected. Don't disconnect it. Stretch up, turn the rib square, bend the left knee, exhaling in a connected way. Stretch up. Now you did those Gomukasana up arms. Incorporate that into this. Shoulder blades into those back ribs. 2 arms being the top arm. Inhale, come up, turn the feet. Now, with that strap, if you used it before, you use it again. And you take your feet apart. Now, here's the thing. Your hands are going to be tied up, holding in Gomukasana. So don't lose your balance. If you have trouble this way, let go the belt. Okay, so this is funny. People will be holding the strap around their foot in a pose, and they'll get in trouble with their balance, and they'll keep hold of their strap. They'll fall over rather than let go of the strap. Let go of the strap. Take feet apart, then take Gomukasana. First, both arms up. Then one arm up, one arm down. Then Gomukasana. Okay, so it's your left arm up. Yes, some of you have, I didn't say, and I should have. Left arm up, because that's what the majority of you are doing. Now, turn to your right. Okay, now ground that left heel and roll your left elbow in, lift your left elbow to the ceiling. Keep the right side of you matching so you don't do funny things to your right shoulder. Keep getting longer. Turn, face more perfectly forward. Sternum, navel, pubis. Stretch your back leg. Bend your front knee with an exhalation. Prepare yourself and then be careful. Swing that left elbow, left triceps forward and up, 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 away from your back heel. Inhale, come up. Turn the feet. Release the arms. Are you okay? Was that helpful or just an endurance test? That's, you can't give a thumbs up answer to that question. Was it helpful? A little bit, a few, okay. Side 2, some of you were ambivalent about it. Good, that means difficulty zone. Means you have to figure something out to make it easy. So feet apart, then the arms go up, and you help that first arm with the other arm as need be. It can often be a good idea. Then the other arm comes down and you reset and you bring it in. Use your strap or don't use your strap. This is your choice. Turn to the left. So your back leg is the right foot and your right arm is doing a huge extension away from the right heel. And it is continuous and even. This evenness of action is yoga. Go up. If you find yourself wanting more back bend and going back, then lengthen your stance a bit. And with an exhalation, prepare yourself with extension and exhaling, bend the left knee. Keep both butt bones moving with that bending knee. Stretch up, right elbow up, ribs up, left side, adjusting. Inhale, come up, turn the feet, come out. Good. Now, Prasarta Trikonasana. So a chair is a good idea, but it's not a requirement. Okay, a chair is good for balance, for being able to spend some time exploring. If you're a more intermediate student, a brick works fine, sufficient. Okay, Prasarta Trikonasana. I'm going to make it so I wind up facing you. Actually, I'll just go this way. Feet apart, and there'll be a brick or a chair. I'll show what a chair would be in a bit. And turn your left toes in, turn the right thigh out, turn facing forward. Now you've got to stretch your legs back, kind of Utkatasana, like serious grounding through those shins. You've had work to open this rib cage. So I'm going to have you reach the back leg arm up like Virabhadrasana 1. And you could even bend your elbow like Gomukasana. And you could take this hand, not to Gomukasana, but the elbow is bent back to your hip. And you reach yourself into Prasarta Trikonasana. So everything I'm doing to this left side is to move, if you can see it, these left ribs around. And then the right ribs open and I turn. Now, the chair can be used for stiffer people to work higher, or taking your elbow to the chair seat is virtually the same as going to a brick. So you could treat them the same. This gives you, if you're 67, more stability. Now, the hip people, you stay a little bit higher and work much more correctly with the bone in the socket. You go down only providing you keep those hip sockets safe. Yeah, oh, see how much more you turn, Karen. Now, with that left hand, move the hand forward on the chair seat, and it'll take you a bit lower without you having to bend your elbow. You feel you come down. That's nice. Keep your legs firm. Now, we're getting on time to come up. So prepare by doing Utkatasana, legs, heels, firm, firm. Come on up. Change sides. You need to recover before you change sides, especially with twisting poses if they cause you to breathe hard and all that. In the intermediate zone, see that you're either in, usually in Tadasana or Samastiti Tadasana, one or the other, but you see that you level out your body and breath. Then change sides. I was saying this yesterday. I had a teacher many years ago, one of these Iyengar teachers, come on, feet apart. Longer stance, Chaya. Yes. So when that elbow lands or the hand lands, it lands. Marissa, you need to take the opposite hand down and move your chair up, right hand down. Yeah, that is it. Parivita. Trikonasana. There you go. I may have missed. Did you do it on the other side the same way? I apologize if I missed that. Keep that outer left hip tucked in, heel grounded, left leg, outer thigh in its hip socket. Lengthen the trunk, be as high as you need to be on the chair to keep the two sides of the trunk long and each compartment breathing. Now turn those ribs, Emmy. Turn, get that left shoulder up. If you have pain, that's another story, but okay. Suzette, can that left shoulder come up higher? Way up, left shoulder socket vertically on top of the right shoulder socket. Yeah. And I see your top arms doing different things. Some of you have the hand on the hip still. Some of you could stretch the arm, or you could take it up to vertical in its ordinary classical pose. If that shoulder is happy, turn the ribs. Then come up. Okay, turn your feet. Let me see. All of you still have a chair in the vicinity, so that'll do. Take your feet wide apart as for Prasarta Padu Tanasana. Take those feet wide apart. Put your forehead on the chair seat. And if you need to pat it with a blanket or a sticky mat, do so. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of hanging off the chair backwards. My body weight is gently tugging backward. So it feels like a mild traction. Don't drop your head. Rest your head. Feet wide apart if possible. Prasarta Padu Tanasana. now take your hands to the floor. And fold forward. Now, in the fullest pose, your head might touch the floor. Do not force it, but hang it down. As that heel grounds, outer foot, inner foot, the thigh stretches up. And it lifts the hip socket, and that spine cascades forward and down. The arms press on the floor, palms even. And just as the head continues hanging, the shoulder blades lift and spread. Soft abdomen, broad abdomen. Okay, straighten your elbows. Those whose hips remain, stay strong here, stay as you are. Fix those legs on the floor, hands to the hips, inhale, come up. Good. Now, you do your version of Sharashasana or preparation for Sharashasana. That would the so Sharashasana can be done with any of your typical supports. A wall, you see, I have my, contraption that allows me to hang or support a headstand different ways. So everybody's got a safe way, I think, to approach. And if you don't have any device and you don't put weight on your head yet, then you do other preparation. You act as if the hand shape, arm shape is ready for Sharashasana, pressing the forearms, lifting the shoulder blades away from the skull. So there's that idea right at the beginning of class that these limbs release away from the spine and also away from the brain, away from the skull. So I mean, like neurologically away from the brain, structurally away from the skull and spine. So whether you're doing headstand or preparation for headstand, those arms spread and extend, and there is no movement toward the skull. The head hangs freely, and if it's in headstand, in contact with the floor, the head rests on the floor. There is no element of retraction of the head from the floor. The shoulders move away from the skull and spine. The head extends its end of the spine, and the legs are there to work and pull and open the lower spine. The hip people, separate your feet hip width, however you are working. Those doing preparation, keeping to our rules of evenness, you can raise one leg, Ekapada. Stretch that leg. Watch those hips there. Watch the breath. Those who need to come out when it's time for you. The definition of when it's time for you is either when the teacher says come out because class time is always limited, or when your pose can no longer be maintained with your effort and concentration. So it is time to come out for everyone. Rest your head. Those who are out and recovered already, you can proceed where everybody else is going to and sit with blanket support and possibly belts. Sit in Upavishta Konasana, seated ankle pose. Use as many blankets as necessary to make it so that you can keep these torso zones level, not compressed. The place that really compresses is not so, I mean, it is the pelvis just because it's got a lot of weight bearing down on it. But the place when we slouch that really sort of shortens is this middle place between the sternum and the pelvis, because the pelvis makes a fixed container, right? But this region here can get super short. And you can put a lot of pressure on your stomach and liver and upper digestive organs. This kind of collapse, you can sort of see it from the side. It's from the navel to the ribs, right here, just fold. You can feel it, right? That fold there is bad for digestion. So you've got to open up, you know, it's your navel folds in, right? So you've got to unfold that zone around the navel. So Upavishta, you sit as high as necessary in Upavishta Konasana. And the opening of the navel should not, there's so many ways to sort of cheat. Don't open the navel just by dumping it forward, because that would cause the back of the navel region to shut. We're talking level and open. Okay. Pull up. Scoop your hands underneath your knees. Press your thigh against that hand. Lift your trunk. Push down. Lift your trunk. Good. Release. To me, that feels good because I can really get some happy lift there. All right. Bend your, right knee. Now, my knee bothers me, so I'm going to use what I call a knee rope. Bend your right knee. Now turn toward it, away from the straight leg. and keep this collapsible place long, both sides. If you're flexible, this left hand might cross outside the right knee and you can keep turning. If that does not make your spine happy, do not keep turning. Go for space. Now, release. Turn your trunk if you went past this. Come back to in line with that knee and reach forward. Both arms, reach forward. Reach as far forward as you can. If you're on blankets, that may be a bit difficult, but keep pushing with the hands so the weight stays on the hips, doesn't fall to a knee. Keep the outer left buttock long. Come up. Keep that knee bent. Come up tall again. Now turn. Face the center. And adjust if your hips went crooked. And now, of course, we're going the other way. So this hip stays down. Both sides of this collapsible place, back, front, and sides, come up. And if the turn is far enough, you can cross over outside that left knee and keep going. Long, long, long in that collapsible place. Now, come back so you're more or less in line with that leg. And if you're very stiff, you come back so you're inward of that leg, but go forward. So if you've got a limitation like a paining knee or a paining hip or a paining low back, one of many possible places, please take that into account. Do not pursue joint pain. You must keep quiet in the joints, long and broad in the muscles. And come up. So to bring this bent leg knee out, whether or not you have knee or hip problems, the very polite thing to do is to take the outer knee. The knee means both the shin bone and the thigh bone, and lift up. And stretch the legs straight forward so that knee, everything about the joints is in ordinary line. Then go back up. Upavishta. Konasana. Then the left knee. Go wide so you keep that groin open. Bring the foot in. So it's a pretty wide pose. And come up tall. Watch that middle place. Back, front, and sides. Keep making space there. And turn toward the bent knee. Stay tall. Stay grounded through the straight leg buttock. Grounded through the bent leg buttock. Lift up. Is it pretty even sensation of rotation in all the soft tissue, muscles, abdominal wall. You feel the organs sort of getting rolled in the twist, but go in further. That lumbar spine is staying pretty darn stable. Pelvis, totally stable. It's the ribs, rib bones, thoracic vertebra that are really turning. Now come back square with that knee and fold forward. Keep your right buttock down. Use your arms for balance to keep weight on both hips. Push with those hands. Reach with the trunk. Keep the hips down. Keep the legs properly acting. Every so often, have a look at your right foot, the straight leg. Sometimes it gets very involved and it rolls into whatever your trunk is doing. Keep that foot up, keep that thigh down. Now you come up and you come to the middle and you reorganize your sectors. And then you turn away from that knee. So it's going to be helpful in turning away from the bent knee to actually lever a bit against it at first. It's your left knee that's bent, so your left forearm is sort of pressing against it, pushing against that knee before you get to the crossover time, right? Push against that shin, I should say, to help you turn and lift. Then when you get turned enough, you'll cross over. Keep both legs thoughtful. Then comes the forward extension. Bent thigh down. Let the trunk come forward. Keep the region around the navel spreading, not compressing. And come up. Are you okay? Help that bent leg out. Stretch it to Tanasana, symmetrical. Then take it back. Now, just for, we have like 5 minutes to do this, so maybe it'll work. You're gonna take whatever support you need. Watch, bend the right knee. So what we did just here was a very windy road toward Janu Sharashasana action, right? Twisting forward, come up, twisting, and then finally. So here, we're just going to take the short road to Parvrita Janu Sharashasana. So you come forward in the center of this angle. You bisect that angle and come forward, hopefully to your elbows. And then there's two things that happen. You start going towards your left leg away from the right. And as you do this, right side, if you see it, is opening. And it's opening laterally, but also I'm rotating. That helps the openness. So I push down and I roll up and I extend away from that knee and I roll and I pull more with this elbow to get away from that knee. And if things are a little stiff in my neck, I just prop my head up. And if all goes well, I act like, oh, Gomukasana, oh, Trikonasana, and then Shavasana. And if everything is well, you catch your foot and you keep stretching. Many stages, you take any one that suits. Stretch that top elbow straight at some point. Roll those ribs, reaching with the elbow is a deep side stretch. This is a lateral stretch, and you have to rotate the spine to get to that lateral stretch. Come on up. Careful. Use your legs. Don't just spring out randomly. Help your knee out. Stretch it forward. Get your knee ironed out. Back to Upavishta, side 2. Wide stance. That's why you start from Upavishta. So these groins, this hip socket is open. And you go forward, bisecting the angle. And as you start migrating off to your right side, that left hip thigh is reaching. Left groin is reaching. Your trunk is rolling up and extending. And it's kind of a half and a half. It's rolling and extending. Rolling and extending. And if you catch your foot, that might help you extend. Your top arm and shoulder are first working to help you roll and extend. Then they help you expand. And the arm can go overhead in a way that is safe for your shoulder. Spread your elbows away from each other and reach. So if the arms are straight and you haven't caught your foot, right, you just reach that top elbow and push your bottom elbow down. And come up. And help your legs out. Now, all things being equal in your backs and hips, you will take a small amount of support and whatever is needed, which can, of course, include a chair. And you will take Tanasana. Now, those feet should be separated, just hip width, and the head supported for a bit, right? On a brick, on your shins, on a blanket, on whatever is appropriate, proper. In India, the teachers at the Institute sort of glide through how to adjust props. They say, sit properly. After you explain it 1,000 times, you take the shortcut. So the purpose of this particular Paschimottanasana, coming as it is as your next to last pose, it's meant to even you out. Not exacerbate your issues. Spread them back. Connect the breath. Get that breath to touch and move through those tight places. And then come up slowly. And bend your knees. Lie your back. You need, I beg pardon, you need a brick. And perhaps a strap, but at least a brick. Okay, so keeping your feet hip width, could be slightly wider, just slightly wider if you have these tight hips, low back pain. Tuck your shoulders, stand on your fingers. And stretch your elbows straight. And then slowly standing on your, I'm hoping it's not painful. Arthritic fingers can be painful. So I hope it is not. Press that palm. With the palm, the arm as much as with the heel, ground that arm. Use your weight of your heel as inspiration. And come up into Chatushpadasana, slowly but surely. Standing on your fingers, that weight is communicated to the whole arm. Make your whole arm that heavy. Right at the shoulder. You're going to need to roll your triceps toward each other in order to get a nicer press and a nicer lift. The forearms press, the upper arms press, the shoulders press. Shoulder blades lift. All that Gomukasana you did. Raise your hips. Press the feet down. Keep those shins moving back and pushing on the heel. Make your hips rise up, not sit down. Now have a rest. Lower the hips, rest everything. And in this breather minute, make sure your brick is nearby because you're going to raise your hips and put them on it. That brick goes under the low, the part of the brick that faces your feet. The part of the brick that faces your feet has to be under the part of your sacrum that is almost the tailbone. So what you'll feel is the upper end when you land, and as you open your chest, or if you were to straighten your legs, you would feel the lower end pivoting over that tailbone line. So you don't have to straighten your legs. You just got to get your hips up there so you can stand on your fingers again. But the hips are resting. Stand on those fingers, bring your heels in, make that connection there. And you don't have to press the heels and raise the hips, but you've got to reach the shoulders and lift the ribs, right? So this arm part works here. Super lift the ribs, roll those shoulders. Now, if you want to stretch the arms, legs, please do. Don't make pain. Lift your ribs. Taking your feet to the floor is a big spinal stretch. There is an intermediate stage that I didn't give you where you put a bolster under your feet or the same height bricks. Lengthen that spine. Don't force that spine. Bend the knees, come back in, bent leg, rest there. And then come out. Now you can be in Shavasana in any position that keeps you happy. I will stay with you one more minute and then I will turn off this camera and let you complete your Shavasana. So make sure that your breathing connects all the way to the spinal compartment. The spinal compartment goes all the way from sacrum and tailbone up to the skull and brain. It traverses all the other compartments. So when you're examining how you're breathing in the abdomen, also examine how the breath touches that part of the spine. And vice versa, if the spine is your concern in somewhere, look level with it to the inner body and see how that part breathes. Connect. Okay. I say Namaskar now, and you bring yourself very slowly back. Take your time. Namaskar. I'll see you next time. Be safe.